jump here. Okay, you mentioned in that meeting you were going to go do a site visit because we were concerned with that drilling pad, if it was on core land or not.
Right.
And did you do the site visit?
We did. We verified that.
I'm following up with this. I'm going to be giving you a letter tomorrow asking for a report on that.
Okay, we've got the report on that.
Okay, thank you. And another thing is right now, as we're speaking, their drill is on that pad. And there's discussion that Dakota Access is going to drill that under whether they got an easement or not. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, so we've heard those discussions, but they're incorrect. I've warned Dakota Access Pipeline. Now you know, when after our meeting, I did what I said I was going to do, and I was going to ask Dakota Access to stop work for 30 days, in addition to not signing the easement for 30 days. They decided not to do that. And further, because they felt our actions were in total non-compliance with the law, they have said we're going to work until the point that there's no work to do anymore, which means technically they can drill. They can drill about 200 feet before they actually hit core land. So it wouldn't be surprising to see a drill on the pad, which I believe it's there today. It wouldn't be surprising to see them to start drilling, but they know that they're in violation of federal multiple laws, which I will pursue if they touch anything on core land without an easement. And they've got that laid down as a marker, and they know, and they're going to pursue it anyway. They've made a huge financial decision to put that drill rig on there before we have the easement resolved. And once again, I can't speak to their actions or why they're doing that. I would refer that back to DAPL.
We thank you for that stand, but we are going to talk about easement and how we can impact it from our viewpoint.
My name is Brandon Sazu, chairman of the Crow Creek Sioux Tribe.
It's good to see you.
My number is number 137 on that day. I was arrested too. I got one question for you. If the Dakota Access Pipeline decides to drill under core land, will you physically stop them?
If they drill without an easement, yes. I will request federal level law enforcement to come in and to cease work. Not only that, they know that, well, I won't get into that. They know that could put their whole project in danger by doing that. I don't expect them to drill any further than what they're already permitted to.
Thank you.
With regards to them guys drilling, do you have a monitor right now ensuring they're not drilling into core land?
There's monitors on site.
Thank you.
Core monitor.
Mr. Mayor Norman, please.
Mr. Steele.
We're talking about, we thank you for that letter on the easements. But I did send also a letter asking you to deny those easements based upon our treaty and it's impacting our treaty lands. And we've got many rechoning. And I'm going to deal with all this. Own that treatment plant. We own that intake into the river. I will turn that off immediately if anything happens up there. And it's almost the whole quarter southwestern part of South Dakota, non-Indians and Indians that we serve. I will not take a chance that can be get toxicity in the system. And how is the Corps or the United States government going to provide potable water to all of the southern part of South Dakota almost? I got a couple of presidents here. Mr. Kendall?
Thank you, John. Thank you folks for coming over today and sitting down with us. We have a camp up there at Standing Rock. Rosebud Tribe does. We have some people in the camp. And we had 3 of our people that were arrested the other day for, I guess they were praying. And they got some pretty serious federal charges on them now. And as you know, them federal charges may stay with them for the remainder of their days. So we're pretty concerned down at Rosebud and we're very upset over it. But I just wanted to say that we're going to stand with Cheyenne River and Standing Rock and the Oglalas and whatever stand they take, we will take stand behind them. But for today's purposes, I would like to see us get into some kind of dialogue here on how we can stop that easement in a permanent way. Whatever we need to do with you all, we need to hear from you, and I guess hear from our attorneys as well. But I would like to see something come out of here. We've been here over an hour now. We've barely touched on what we need to be doing here today. So I would like to see us get serious around the table here and try to come up with some way to permanently stop the easement. I know President Obama can probably intervene here and do something, you know, like he done with the XL pipeline. But for those of you that are in the room here today, XL is not dead. We think it is, but it is not dead. As soon as the new administration takes the reins, I think we're going to see that revived. We're going to be dealing with that again. It's just resting somewhere right now as we're speaking. But for our purposes here today, let's see if we can, John, if we can get some dialogue going here.
We need to know, how long do we have to comment on this stuff? Is there a time?
The public comment period was last December. We've continued to accept comments as a trust responsibility with all the tribal members. We've continued to accept comments and new information as it's come in, and we continue to consider those. If there's substantive comments in there, which is why we're coming back to sit down with the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe. They submitted a third-party analysis, and most of it was referenced to pipeline safety. So we're going to sit down and we take every bit of that information that we get seriously, and we go back and we do due diligence and ensure that we've addressed it one way or the other, and we find some common ground on the concerns that are out there. So.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add, on the easement itself, an easement is a contractual agreement between the grantor, which would be the Army Corps of Engineers, and the grantee, which would be the pipeline company,
Right.
Which is basically a contractual real estate transaction that sets out the terms and conditions for what that person or that company would have to do in order to come onto our land to do what it is they're proposing to do to put the pipe under the lake. Those conditions are ones that we can control, that we can add to, that we as the contractor can require of the applicant, which is DAPL. So that's one of the reasons we've asked to have further discussions on what those terms and conditions could be. How can we make them stronger? How can we make this pipeline more safe? We want to talk to PHMSA, which is the Pipeline Safety Administration within the Department of Transportation. Like, what is there in addition that we can require in order to come onto our land in order to do this in the future? Those again have to be agreed to, and in the instance of this particular easement, this easement will come to my office. Most easements are executed at the district level, not only because of the sensitivity of this, but because of the diameter of the pipeline. It comes to my office. And then the determination is made whether or not that notification for the granting of the easement goes to Congress for a 14-day notification period. The easement isn't signed until after that notification period is over. But the notification to Congress doesn't go until it comes through my office.
And what I understood from your letter, sir, for us today is that we were going to talk about the specific easement and Dakota Access Pipeline stuff here, because tomorrow may not be the appropriate place to do it as we're talking about bigger policy issues.
Okay, let's get back to that issue.
Thanks for that background. I think we sent correspondence, and I'd like to direct this to the Assistant Secretary and Interior Justice. We've sent correspondence, and it's our position that the lands are protected by the 1851 treaty, and they're unceded Indian lands under the 1868 Sioux Nation Treaty. The treaty reserved our lands as a permanent home, and the Missouri River was wholly within the Great Sioux Reservation boundaries to the low water mark on the east bank of the river, so the whole river. And the waters pertinent to the lands are treaty-protected waters, and we have a right to, under our treaties, to safe drinking water, and we have a right to a clean flow of water. Under the Winters Doctrine, our tribes own the water in the river. So, when the United States considers a project that might be just barely upstream, they have to consider if they would create a hazard to our drinking water, that may be a potential treaty violation, and in your consultation, you should disclose that. Under the federal trust responsibility and under the treaties, you have a duty to protect our reservation, including their waters, as a permanent local home. And the Corps has a duty to consult on impacts on our treaty lands, waters, and natural resources, and that's reflected in our policies. The Corps is on notice about our rights. For example, the Cheyenne River Oahe Act is part of the Organic Act for Lake Oahe, the reservoir, and a dam. And it includes a reservation of agriculture, hunting and fishing rights, timber rights, and our continued use. And it's clear that those areas are within our reservation. So without the sacrifice that the Sioux tribes made for these dams, there wouldn't be any Lake Oahe or Lake Sakakawea or Lake Francis case. And there was a bargain. Tribes were asked to give up lands for flood control so that St. Louis could be safe from flooding. And our lands were to continue to be available for us for our continued use, and also to promote recreation and tourism. And there was supposed to be an economic benefit to our tribes from these developments. Obviously, an oil spill in these waters would be inconsistent with all of our treaty background and all of that statutory background. Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe operates a water pipeline. There's federal legislation that funded the pipeline. The tribe has spent tens of millions of dollars on its pipeline. And the proper operation of that pipeline is essential to the homes and residences of tribal members. A few years ago, when there was a problem with the pipeline and the level of the lake was too far down, we had to cut off building any new homes on the reservation because we didn't have water to justify the new homes. We couldn't provide water for them. So we have clear examples of what would happen to us without those drinking pipelines. And Oglala Sioux works together with Rosebud Sioux, Lower Brule Sioux to draw drinking water from the river at Fort Pierre. And there's a Mini-Wachoni Act, which places the pipeline and the land in trust. And the Secretary has a duty to protect the pipeline. And the Secretary wrote a letter to the Corps and said there should be consideration of the impact on the pipelines. So the Corps has really a trust responsibility, but also a responsibility to coordinate with the other agencies to make sure that these treaties and statutes are recognized and enforced, and not just your core legislation. We have numerous endangered species in the area, the pallid sturgeon, whooping crane, black-footed ferrets, bluebirds, etc. As part of this process, we'd like Interior Fish and Wildlife to review the impact of an oil spill on these endangered species. Because we frankly think an oil spill would kill the pallid sturgeon. And we're not sure why people were poisoning prairie dogs up there, near the pipeline, when there's eagles that are coming and hunting those prairie dogs. And there could be black-footed ferrets in that area, according to your Fish and Wildlife folks, if you talk to them. Under our treaties and agreements with the United States, we deserve protection for our treaty rights, waters, and responsibilities, and the trust responsibility. And recently in the Lummi case, just May of this year, the Army Corps used the standard that when there are more than de minimis impacts to treaty rights, that the project should be disapproved, and that absent congressional legislation, it shouldn't go forward unless the project management people make an accommodation with the tribes to make sure that the treaty rights are protected. I think May 9th, 2016. So we're hopeful that that same standard applies here, because we think our treaty rights are implicated by the discharges and potential oil spills.
Thank you for pointing that out, and I think that's the example you cited, which was this May up in Washington State, when Colonel Buck made the more than de minimis determination about the Gateway Terminal and its impact on the Lummi tribe and historic fishing rights. as an example of how the Corps of Engineers does take seriously our responsibilities under our treaty rights with our Native American friends. So, I think that you can count on us to continue to take those treaty rights seriously, and especially in this case.
Okay, well, we appreciate that, and the Sioux Nation had to fight a war to secure that treaty because we were fighting a war to protect our lands. And so we need to know some practical things. You know, obviously there's a time frame for, you know, some of the folks here that are political appointees, and we'd like to know that, you know, in the consultation period, that whatever consultations you do, you know, can be completed. We'd like to know about a record. We'd like to know what are the possibilities. Can the project be halted? Can the pipeline be rerouted? Can the easement be permanently denied? What are the options? And with all due respect to government regulation and the evaluation of oil safety systems, you know, we saw the BP movie Deepwater Horizon. And apparently there are things that don't always work out the way fail-safe systems are planned. We saw the EPA uncap the mine and the San Juan River was poisoned and the Navajo folks were impacted. And New Mexico and Navajo have a lawsuit against the United States. We've seen the recent gas pipeline spill in Alabama with, I think, tens of thousands of gallons. So we don't have full confidence in oil pipeline safety systems to protect our treaty waters.
I'll keep it short. Everybody kind of touched on,
Yes, sir.
you know, everything like the devastation of the dams, and you know how ironic is it our people, you know, through the devastation that the dams created, we're the ones protecting that water that devastated our lands. You know, that's the irony. But I'd just like to say, you know, I'd plead with you to deny the easement. The river has been the single most important lifeline to our people. The river is and always has been the subsistence to our existence since time immemorial. Water is life. Mitakias.
You know, I want to speak on behalf of the Ponca tribe, and our support with our relatives here. Being on the river and understanding what the river means to our people, and it's part of our culture, our traditions, our language, our ceremonies, and we understand what it is to lose. And the U.S. government terminated our people, terminated our tribe. The Treaty of 1868 overrode a treaty that we had with the federal government that they broke. And we lost land there as well, and moved to Oklahoma away from our homeland. And it took a great deal to come back and fight to be back in our homeland now, and sacrifice of our elders to be there, and the willingness that they went through to get back to that area, to be back where our medicines were, where fishing and agriculture, all those things that were part of our culture. And it's no different than the other tribes here, our relatives. And we talk about other pipelines and impacts and all these things, and that there's other things out there. And for our people, it was hard to fight when the federal government didn't recognize us. And since 1990, we've been getting that back. And so to say that there are other things out there, and we didn't have a voice, and now we do, and we stand with our relatives to fight this as it affects our people, and to look at and say, with all due respect, that there's other pipelines already there. And I apologize, I'm a recovering history teacher, and the chairman, so I can talk all day. I don't very often, but I can. But you know, I think you can pick a subject when it comes to Indian country and things that happened before, and why didn't they get addressed then. You can talk about mascots, you can talk about all kinds of issues. But we have a voice today, and being united makes that stronger. And for us, it doesn't matter if it's a fraction of 1%, risk, that's too much. And any of that's too much when you talk about the impact that it could have on all of us. And as we're all downriver, it affects each and every one of us. So with that, I ask for you to deny that easement as it affects all the tribes and all of our relatives here. I hope.
Thank you. Ah, he showed up. Hey, God damn. I need one other thing straight. Ms. Darcy, we can still get in comments to the Army Corps on the easements, on our points of view and our reasoning with yourself on why it should be denied? Thank you. There's not really a cutoff date on that. Okay. Welcome. You got a couple of words, sir?
I got.
Okay.
I just want to say thanks for coming and thank everybody. You know, whenever we talk, I guess it's always right now what I see with press release and everything, and in the media, it's with Standing Rock. But I want you to know that it should be with the Great Sioux Nation. It's not just Standing Rock anymore. You know, it's everybody that's here, all the leadership that's taking part, and they all have input, they all have say. And I know it's closest to us. And I know that we've been going at this for a couple of years. And I know that we went to court, and I know what the judge had ruled when it comes to consultation. But every time we had correspondences, everybody knew our position from the beginning. And the judge says, you didn't take the opportunity to consult. And there's 389 documents that say the Corps of Engineers did what they had to do for consultation. And we define that different, and I think that's what the main reason why we're having the meeting tomorrow. But the company will say we didn't consult. Public Service Commission will say we didn't consult. We had correspondences, and we didn't define them as consultation, but in those correspondences, we had a position, and that position was don't put that pipeline there from the beginning. The Corps can't say that. They didn't know that. You know, we took you up there and we showed you not to do it. We sat down with DAPL, Dakota Access Pipeline. We sat down with them, we told them don't do it. PSC was part of that, Public Service Commission. So when it comes to consultation, or however it's defined, when we have input, when we put input in, there should be something coming back. And I'm real appreciative today that the easement did not get approved until we have further discussion. And we're going to have further discussion with Kelsey Warren, Energy Transfer Partner, Dakota Access Pipeline, Corps of Engineers. So that's what consultation is. And what we're doing at the 11th hour at the end should have took place at the beginning. That should have happened right away. And all these 389 correspondences that don't mean anything, even though we laid our position, we could have had this thing, we would have never been where we are today if we would have did this first. And consultation is, I know we're gonna talk about this tomorrow, but it's talking with the decision makers in the beginning, in the front. And that never happened, and now we're doing it. So I thank you for giving us the opportunity to actually do this. And I think it's important that the Great Sioux Nation is included as well, and not just standing up. But that's all I wanted to share for now. I don't know what you guys all talked about. Frank was giving play-by-play jurisdiction and all that, but it's all good.
I'm the chairman.
I make a motion that we go on record to ask the Corps of Engineers to disapprove the easement. That's my motion.
I second.
Chairman is not in the building.
Well, that's me then.
That's you.
Vice chair is here.
Chairman, I'll make that motion.
We have a motion made by Cheyenne River Chairman Frazier, seconded by Crow Creek Chairman Brandon Sazu. If there's no further questions, we'll call for that vote. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Thank you.
Make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Yeah.
Man, is there any need for further consultation on this?
Yes, absolutely.
You guys just voted to oppose it.
Absolutely. Well, there's a whole range of consultation. And we want to engage in a process that was authorized by the letter. We want to engage.
We already passed a resolution I read to you back in September 2015, which you guys never responded back to. So this is just reinforcing, saying don't grant the easement.
I think we're talking about consultation. Right? What was
On the,
what was said was that we were gonna have further discussion on the easement. Right?
Consultation on consultation on coming up with rules and regulations or the process of dealing, I want to take from the two, you know, to have decision makers at the table.
That consultation, non-consultation is too much.
Yeah.
What we're talking about, and what you just asked, Colonel, was, so because we passed resolution before. But what was said in the statement by the Corps of Engineers Department are we're not going to issue the easement until we have further discussion. So we still have to have this further discussion.
So you guys will discuss it? Yep. I just kind of heard the few words.
Chairman will make a motion to adjourn.
Yes, well, I got one more agenda item. That's why. That's why. I was asking if we were done with the panel here this evening and our opposition to the easement. I tell you, it's gonna affect Mini-Wechoni. I'm gonna close it down. The Oglala is owned that water treatment plant. And the Oglalas will close it down if there's an accident that happens. You have a lot of people without potable water. The whole town of Fort Pierce. We'll be getting you comments.
Remember, 1851,
Thanks, guys.
the Missouri River,
Thank you.
the water is on top, but the bottom is still 1851 territory.
We own the water.
We own the water and the land.